The Arroyos Preserve. Some of the most beautiful Sonoran Desert portions there are. While it lacks some saguaros, or the population of saguaros that exist in, say, in the Tucson area, it is a very clean desert. The ground, the smooth portions that you see in the video are what's called desert pavement. It's a very thin and fragile layer of rock, and you can see how clean it is. There are very few cactus of the unfriendly kind. Those would be the cholla and other cactus with big thorns. A good population of saguaro trees, however, but just wonderful arroyos, the washes that run all the way from the hills, the mountains to the west. We're looking west here, and this is a typical arroyos there on the left, as the seasonal monsoons and some of the winter rains will cause that wash to run. But it's a wonderful habitat for wildlife, as well as for walking and enjoying the beautiful sights that are to be had on the ground. In the distance, you can see some structures ahead, and that is the compound that was built 40 years ago by Robert Dingham and his wife, who moved here from Los Angeles. They were he was in the recording industry, an executive, and it was at a period of time in the United States when we were all worried about the nuclear bomb, and folks were building bomb shelters and so forth. So he decided to come out to this beautiful part of Arizona and purchased a 40-acre parcel, which is surrounded on 3 sides by BLM. And we're looking just beyond the structures that you see ahead. Begins the BLM, and over to the left, as far as you can see, is all BLM land, forever to be undeveloped. In the foothills there that we're seeing, there were many gold mines. At the turn of the 20th century, this was a very active area in those hills. That's the Kofa Mountains there. Bighorn sheep, abundant, wildlife preserve. But in these hills ahead, there's a great history of mining. Now, what we're seeing here below, the now abandoned hydroponic gardens that Robert Dingham and his wife put in. They hand-built everything on this property, with, of course, the exception of the mobile home and the trailers that are there they brought in, but all the fencing was done by them by hand, all the construction on the property. And you see there in the foreground on the right a pen for their wildlife, their chickens and other things. There was no internet then, so everything was done by mail order. In fact, all of it had to be done by mail order. They hand dug their own well and installed generators in the beginning until they got their wind power generator installed. You'll see there just beyond on a tower, as well as eventually solar. The property has no power to it, commercial power. It's all self-contained solar power, and at one time it did have the wind power generator there, but it was disabled shortly after it was constructed because it was not controllable and it was not a good design. Although it was hand-built, 3 automobile alternators were used in a lash-up that Robert Dingham and his wife concocted, Rube Goldberg style, I guess, and erected it, just the 2 of them, on that tower. Now that tower is 56 feet tall, so you can imagine the feat that was accomplished in getting this whole thing up there. At any rate, there is in the center the shop area, and on the left, far left, was Mrs. Dingham's craft trailer where she did all of the sewing and made their clothes and things. And the house there on the right is a 1,600 square foot 2-bedroom and 2-bath. It was a very high quality. It was an Angelus brand, and I think the year of that is 1965 construction. Has a ham radio setup, fireplace. It's very livable, good workspace areas. The propane tanks you see, the white cylinders there, contain, they're 2 500-gallon propane tanks, so there is 1,000 gallons capacity on the property. The house itself has 3 propane refrigerators with freezers, and of course 2 propane stoves, an O'Keefe and Merritt, and the one that came with the manufactured home that's there. The road that you see coming from the west, we're looking west, it looks like a path there. That is a 100-year-old path that ran across the desert from the gold mines to the Tyson Wash, which is behind us, for water. And that is pretty well ingrained in the desert. They used it to get water back up to the foothills there and to the mountains where they could do their mining and process their gold. You can see there in the foreground, if you look closely, a 50-foot high pole. It's a ham radio antenna that's on the property for the ham radio station. That desert that you see there is all, as again, it's all very friendly with desert pavement, saguaro trees, ironwood trees. The trees there are 30 feet tall. Here's a picture here looking west from the ground. Some saguaros. You see a saguaro there. There are several saguaros in the picture there. This land straight ahead that you see there is part of the 40 acres. You see the Arroyos running and the clean areas where the desert pavement is. Absolutely ideal for custom homes, custom RV estate lots, building sites. Each lot would have, pretty much every lot has one of the Arroyos, as you can see there, very lush. And the subdivision is planned with streets that take advantage of the existing Arroyos. You can see the maps and the subdivision plat on the website. If the RV estate lot or the custom home site does not have a backyard that belongs to one of the Arroyos, it has a backyard that borders or is on the boundary of the property and the BLM land. So the BLM land, looking out, as you can see there, becomes really the building site owner's land for him to use and enjoy, or just to see, just to view and enjoy the view. The drone that took these pictures of this video did so in February of 2014, and it was a little windy that day, so it is a little shaky. Again, all the building sites you can see there. The lot right there in the foreground to the left, just disappearing in the picture there, is a 10,000 square foot building site. It's bounded on two sides by the Arroyos, and on the third side in a V shape, and on the third side is the BLM boundary. You can see the ham radio antennas there in the foreground. Again, the wheel tracks next to the Arroyos running out is ancient traffic marks from the water hauling to the gold mines in the hill. The driveway there is the curved, it goes on out to the right of way, and then the hydroponic gardens there. And here's how the subdivision plat overlays the 40 acres, taking into account the Arroyos. All the details, the full engineering and the plat and maps and so forth are on the website at quietdesert.com, and plus a lot more pictures, lots of information should go there. quietdesert.com. Certainly quiet, peaceful, very clean. Lovely place to spend time. Nice building sites. Absolutely gorgeous land.